Hello, beautiful soul family, and welcome to Weekly Wisdom and Insights, your home for spiritually guided transformation and empowerment. I am your host, Dearjames, and together with the unseen, Spirit, Source, and Symphony, we look at the current energies, the intuitive wisdom and insights, and we go as guided. And as usual, it's just action-packed. So we're going to jump right in. We're looking at energies that have to do with the Cancer full moon that we just had on the 13th. And it's important to remember new moons and full moons, the energies arc approximately 6 months. So just because something is in a particular episode doesn't mean that that what we're speaking about, what the unseen is giving us and guiding us, isn't an aspect or a part of something that's going to arc out for many months or moons, as it may be, into the future. Welcome, Elizabeth. Welcome, Alicia. So we're going to take a look here. Let's just jump in very quickly because you're going to see how birds play a major theme, and birds are symbols of spirit, of the unseen. They represent the connectivity to the unseen. There's much about this, and in this episode, birds. Good birds, not like, birds. So let's just jump in. So our main energies. It's the first, it's January, so it's a 1 month. It's about the creative and the initiative, take an initiative. 15 and 16, they're a pair. In the I Ching, hexagram 15 and hexagram 16 are a pair. So we have authenticity and humility and balance as a pair with enthusiasm, excite. Welcome, Olivia. So we're going to see how humility and balance is coupled with enthusiasm and excite, which is coupled with, of course, the creative, the initiative, to take the initiative in something. But we do so, it's a 9 year, all year long. So small restraints, surrender, how we keep surrendering to our soul source connection, to our internal GPS. And that it becomes a 7, which is army, correct discipline, meaning we always have everything we need within us. There's nothing outside of us. So this is where we start. The astrological influences, and I made a mistake and didn't change this, so it's not flashbang. It is all about, but I'm going to cover so forgive me, but what we're covering is we had the new moon in Capricorn on the 30th of December. On the 1st of January, it was the moon conjunct Pluto opposite Mars, retrograde. This Mars-Pluto opposition is playing out, and again will play out again. I think the last one where it is exact is on the 25th of April, but it's playing out from end of December last year all the way through to end of April this year. So then on the 6th, we have Mars leaving Leo and re-entering Cancer, and then we have the Mars. This is from last week, and I apologize. I have the new one. So scratch all that. Just forgive me. Every once in a while, Dearjames is going to have a Mercury retrograde moment. Oh, I had the right one and I failed to change it in my show program. So anyways, let me jump ahead to what will make sense to all of you. Here's the Cancer full moon that just occurred on the 13th. And it is, look at the center in the inner ring. This is where the astrological influences are that I meant to share with all of you. And you can see there's like a zigzag. There's the vertical red lines, and there's almost like the zigzag in blue that's like an hourglass. And what the unseen said about this is the first thing was like this zigzag. And a zigzag is a line or pattern that looks like a Z or a row of Z's joined together that makes a lot of short, sharp turns. The moral of the story of these energies is that things are going to be zigzagging. It's going to be going one direction, and it's going to sharply turn and go another direction. And then you think you're going that direction, and it's going to go another direction, this zigzag. The next thing they said was shadow boxing. So shadow boxing is the act of fighting an imaginary enemy. Spar with an imaginary opponent as a form of training. Make a show of tackling a problem or opponent while avoiding any direct engagement. So we've got zigzag, shadow boxing, and then they said all the right moves. There is a lot of contradiction going on at the moment. So is it live or Memorex? Is it truth or illusion? Am I going one direction only to realize I have to make another turn and go a different direction? There's going to be a lot of this energy playing out for the next 6 months. This kind of zigzag, shadow boxing, all the right moves. And be very mindful during this time. When is it real? When is it live? And when is it Memorex? When is it artificial? When is it an illusion? And the only way you're going to make all the right steps, all the right moves, all the right choices is by listening to your internal soul source connection, your GPS, your true north. If you're in ego, mind, personality land, you're at the surface, you're in the illusion, or could potentially be in the illusion. What's going to guide you properly? And again, remember a long time ago, many shows ago, I told you that when I first began to listen to the unseen, they had me out walking and they told me to cross the road, and I crossed the road. And then a few minutes later, they said, now cross back over. And I did this multiple times until I finally stopped and said, what am I doing? What are you doing? And they're like, we're training you to listen, to hear us, to go as guided. This kind of zigzag energy and this shadow boxing and so forth, is it real or is it an illusion? And all the right moves, directly aligned with all of that. And this is going to be playing out. Why? It's the first thing from the unseen. Because they said, quote, playing the long game. And then they said the Empire Strikes Back. So playing the long game, the Empire Strikes Back. I am not a Star Wars fan. However, I understand that the second film in the trilogy is The Empire Strikes Back, and it is where the dark forces attempt to prevail. And of course, in the film, the Star Wars film, The Empire Strikes Back, the overarching message is about hope. It's about hope, faith, trust, that decency prevails. And then I heard, pardon me, and then I heard Against All Odds. So the Phil Collins song, Against All Odds. So in essence, Spirit, Source, Symphony, the all that is playing the long game. The Empire Strikes Back, it's like, it's futile. I'm just going to go to it because it's number 3 from the unseen. A masterful game of chess versus checkers. And then I heard the word idiocy. Idiocy means extremely stupid behavior. So we have this playing the long game, the Empire Strikes Back. And that against all odds, hope, faith, trust, decency prevails. Along with number 3, a masterful game of chess. Chess takes great intelligence. It takes great strategy. It is the long game. Versus checkers. And the chess means the force, the light. Checkers, darkness, idiocy. So be mindful in our own individual lives, in the lives of institutions and businesses and governments. Are we playing the long game because God, the unseen, the all that is playing the long game? It's, the master weaver, it's the arc of destiny. They're not in it for, quick payoff and superficial actions that ultimately lead to decay, destruction, anarchy, entropy. The unseen is always striving for our highest and best, the highest and best of us as a soul, as an individual, and the highest and best of us as a peoples, as a nation, as a world, as an offspring, a global offspring, a species. So these two aspects, 1 and 3, playing the long game, the Empire Strikes Back, against all odds, hope, faith, trust, decency prevails, and a masterful game of chess versus checkers, the force/light versus darkness, and this idiocy, extremely stupid behavior. So please be mindful in these next 6 months, and certainly in these next 3-4 months, be very mindful of whether you're playing a game of chess or checkers. Is it idiocy and futile and ego mind personality based, or is it light based, the force based, purity, goodness, authenticity, humility based, soul based? And thus, because we're going to have the experience of that. So let's jump into our main theme, and this is where all the birds come in. And so our main theme, birds flying high, and I'm feeling good. Dragonfly medicine. 3 symbols, Sabian symbols, for this Cancer full moon are all to do with birds. And first, it's Chiron, the wounded healer. And by the way, birds flying high and I'm feeling good, it's from, I believe it's Nina Simone. I'll get to that in a moment. But just want to show you that. So here's Chiron, the wounded healer, and these are from Dane Rudyer and an astrological mandala, the Sabian symbols. A young girl feeding birds in winter. It's winter in the northern hemisphere. The keynote is overcoming crisis through compassion. Nature's seasonal rhythms imply an oscillation between living and dying. Through creative imagination, man can fly over the cycle and discover means not only to escape from the fatality of seasonal decay or deprivation, but to assist other living entities to survive through crisis. So, air over water from last week's show, air over water. We've got birds. Now we've got all these birds. And this particular Sabian symbol for Chiron is talking about how humankind can fly over cycles and discover means to not only escape from the fatality of the seasonal decay and deprivation, but to assist other living entities to survive through crisis. So we can quantum leap over things. Migrating birds fly south, but by establishing a partnership with other creatures unable to escape wintry deprivation or death, man and humankind can maintain the life of the spirit, symbolized by birds. Steady through all crises when, like a young girl, the divine feminine, the humility, the authenticity, a young girl, they are wildly open to the promptings of love and sympathy. At this stage, we witness human activity motivated by sympathy, overcoming the seasonal phase of impotency. Life potency in nature spirits reaches a higher level in the human being. This theme is the transmutation of life into love. We're transmuting darkness. We're transmuting the lower octaves of ourselves through humility and authenticity. It's hexagram 15. Into love, into a higher octave. It's the highest octave. So this is Chiron. Lilith is a child giving birds a drink at a fountain. The keynote, the concern of simple souls for the welfare and happiness of less evolved beings who thirst for life renewal. So again, you see acts of service here. You see one assisting another. And recognizing we're piercing the illusion, status and hierarchy and all of this and privilege and everything. It doesn't matter. That's an illusion. It's namaste. I bow to the divine in you. Who are you at your center? So with this Sabian symbol for Lilith, the original statement of this symbol is far more significant than the later formulation. For what is expressed here is a reversal of the operation mentioned in the preceding symbol. Man, who has built the fountain, perhaps on arid land and through skillful work, gives the life-bestowing water to the thirsting birds. They do not go to the sea. but they bring the purified, drinkable water to the birds needing it. The connection between child and birds implies a spontaneous, naive rapport at the spiritual level, a soul touch at the level of pure feelings. So again, man has built the fountain. The birds come and drink the pure, drinkable water. And thus there's a bond through the innocence, through the oneness of that. At this stage, the contrast with the first takes on a suggestive aspect. What you received from the infinite, you can give to the finite beings that thirst for it. What comes through you, what your soul source mission is, what your soul came here to do. When you allow ego, mind, personality to be in service to the soul, what you received from the infinite, the all that is, and these birds are symbols. They're representing, they're speaking, they're messengers on behalf of the unseen. So what you've received from the infinite, you can give to the finite beings that thirst for it. Man does not need to destroy nature's wilderness through greed and carelessness. They can transform this wilderness into a garden whose singing fountains will attract birds. Spirit. We can use here Mark Jones was part of these Sabian symbols, the creation of them. We can use here Mark Jones's keyword for this degree, solicitude. Solicitude means care or concern for someone or something. So it's through care, it's through humility, it's through working together. It's not by destroying things, it's by being greedy and needless and careless. It's about transforming wilderness, working with wilderness, taming our, listening and working with our better angels. I believe that's a Barack Obama, and you'll see him in a minute, a quote from him later. This is another quote. But we turn things into a garden that assist everyone, all creation, Mother Earth. Last but not least is Mercury. So here's Mercury. In a sunlit home, domesticated birds sing joyously. The keynote is the wholesome happiness which subservience to the ideals and patterns of a well-established culture brings to those who accept them unreservedly. So it's when we are, and here is that subservience, meaning surrender to soul source connection. So when we surrender in the wholesomeness and happiness of this, surrendering to the ideals and patterns of well-established culture, highest octave culture, it brings to those who accept them unreservedly blessings, gifts. In various ways, this section of the cyclic process brings us to images glorifying the power and benefits which a steady and well-integrated society brings to its members. When it's a well-oiled machine, when it's harmonious, we individually, as individuals, we're one of the most complex organisms, machines, creations on Earth. So imagine when it's a steady and well-integrated society or individual, it brings glorifying power and benefits. Saturn, the great teacher, rules Capricorn. Saturn was the ruler of the Golden Age before he became a symbol of binding limitations. We've talked about the world before us, the one that came before us and the one that is literally upon us, before us. Saturn was the ruler of the Golden Age that came before us. He has been in a place of binding limitation. One who accepts willingly, or even better, takes for granted the value of these limitations, can lead a serene and happy existence, whatever their social status. So this is talking about, it doesn't see, again, the illusion of hierarchy and, oh, I'm wealthy and I have all of this, or I'm quote unquote lowly. You're one. You're equal in the eyes of God, the unseen, the all that is. And the greatness within you exists at whatever your social status, whatever your gender, whatever your sexuality, whatever your creed, whatever it may be, your ethnicity, whatever your station in life. And this is Mercury, the messenger of the gods. This stage suggests to us how we can enjoy our life conditioned by allowing the spiritual values it embodies to fill our consciousness. It's our spiritual values. It's our soul source connection. It's not our status, our home, our title, all the masks, identities, labels. We've talked about this so much, about where when you unburden and unlayer and lay all of those down, what remains? If you just stood in a world where none of that existed, where you live, where you work, what money you have in the bank, who you know, if all of that was just stripped away, who are you? What remains? In every condition provided by a healthy culture, which hardly refers to our present chaotic world. Now, these were written almost 100 years ago. So it's speaking, which hardly refers to our present chaotic world. Here we are 100 years later. Human beings can find enjoyment in the roles they are born to play. It's about playing the role. It's about listening to your soul and being who you are at your center. Not what somebody else tells you to be or wants you to be, and not on what your ego mind personality tells you you have to have or have to be in order to be. So we have all of these birds, and we have again this main theme of birds flying high and I'm feeling good, dragonfly medicine. So let's take a look. It's Nina Simone, Feeling Good, and it's on her album, 1965 album, I Put a Spell on You. And the lyrics, I'm going to paraphrase some of these, but birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. So the unseen is speaking to us with the Sabian symbols with birds, with this theme, birds flying high. And it's a great song. I'm going to post it in the Facebook thread on Dearjames. You know, the music is kind of bum dun dun bum bum dun dun bum bum dun dun bum bum dun 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 dun. That's the song, and it's in Last Holiday. There's a scene in the movie where that song is played as she moves from coach to first class. Um, the main character, drawing a blank on who it is, I can see her face, and it's about this upgrade in life. So the song goes on to say, dragonfly out in the sun, you know what I mean. Butterflies all having fun, you know what I mean. Sleep in peace when day is done, that's what I mean. And this old world is a new world and a bold world for me, and I'm feeling good. So Queen Latifah is the main character in Last Holiday. So there's a moment in that movie where she literally goes from coach to first class. And the piece in that movie is about she's told she's dying and she's kept her head down and never really lived and so forth. And through that experience, she just releases everything, lets go of everything, and lives. And that's what this is talking about. The unseen is saying to us, live, 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 live. Break, empty your vessel, throw away, take out the trash, whatever that may be, whoever that may be, whatever that may be. Empty your vessel. Make space for the new, because it's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. So we have this, and then we have this other aspect. But I'm going to back it up first. We're going to go to Astrology by Lauren first and tie these together. because it sets the stage about zigzag, shadow boxing, and all the right moves. And then birds flying high, dragonfly medicine. So this is from Astrology by Lauren, the full moon in Cancer 2025. And this is the quote from Barack Obama. Hope in the face of difficulty, hope in the face of uncertainty, the audacity of hope. In the end, that is God's greatest gift to us, a belief in things not seen, a belief that there are better days ahead. The amount of birds, which are a symbol, a spiritual symbol for the unseen. And this could be your loved ones, deceased loved ones. This could be literally guides, angels, the all that is. However it comes to you, it's to be mindful of the spiritual language and presence of the unseen. Because there's going to be a lot of zigzagging. There's going to be a lot of shadow boxing. Are you fighting, a foe that's imaginary? It could be your ego, mind, personality. It could be a loved one telling you to be something or do something that you don't want to do or be. So shadow boxing. It can be preparing you for an upcoming battle or opportunity. I should have air quoted battle because it's really opportunity. So Astrology by Lauren. On Monday, January 13th, we have a full moon at 23 degrees Cancer, 59 arc minutes, with only a few degrees, within only a few degrees of the out of bounds retrograde Mars opposite Pluto. So remember, Mars is now out of bounds. It's outside of the ecliptic. That can wreak havoc, as we have seen. The Mars-Pluto aspect, opposition, can be devastating. And this is especially so when Mars is out of bounds. It can feel like we are needing to survive even against powerful forces beyond our control. The Empire strikes back. But we're playing the long game. The unseen is playing the long game. It's a masterful game of chess versus checkers. It can feel like we are needing to survive against all odds, circling the wagons and protecting our own. Our attention is being brought back home again, home to your center. It can be your literal home, where you live, where you reside, but your home, your soul source connection. Devastating for those who lost their homes and communities in the fires in California. We are all being reminded of the importance of having these foundations in our lives. It's the greatest, it's the relationship you have when you enter this world, all throughout your living life in this world, and the one you leave with. It's your soul source connection. It's that soul source relationship. And so that foundation is bringing you back home. And it's a reminder that we're of the importance of having these foundations in our lives. This is what holds us together and gives us ballast, especially when it is most needed, especially when we are confronted with overwhelming forces that seem so impossible to overcome. However, remember, Neptune is very prominent, is playing a role here. The illusion. It is the highest aspect and ideal of everything we want, and it can represent the illusion and the delusion. Checkers. Nostalgic, emotional, and protective, the Cancer full moon is a time for reflection and looking back from where we've come, while simultaneously looking forward to the future. It's very important. It's not about living in the past, but it is about owning our choices. What happened in the past? What were my choices? What were my beliefs, my choices that led me to where I am today? While I navigate forward, looking forward. The sun is in the sign of Capricorn, a disciplined and organized sign that aims to resolve, restore, and conserve the remnants of what once was, while sorting out a plan for the future. This year, Mars retrograde and out of bounds in the sign of Cancer is bringing us the results of a myriad of choices made in the past, and so we stand here in the remains of what once was. Where we are is a culmination of past choices, individually and collectively. Full moons bring things to a head. They complete things and bring closure. They can also be illuminating, revealing things we had not previously seen. And lastly, full moons appear to make things larger than they are. Emotional and even visceral in their effects, our hearts grow 10 sizes as we announce our feelings to the world around a full moon. It is this quality of magnifying our feelings that makes these full moon events so memorable. So it is about the fact that things are being revealed, things are being magnified, amplified, and it's because it's a full moon, it heightens emotion. So this centeredness, this strong foundation from your soul source connection, because there's no need to be yell and scream and be angry and crazy. Just be centered, be calm and centered. Play the long game, a masterful game of chess versus checkers. While other fools are running around playing checkers, you be the one playing chess. Astrology by Lauren, she continues, there can also be something magical about these moons. They dazzle us with their brilliance. We are beckoned to imagine, to explore, to feel, as our heart center is exposed. And through this process, at the full moon in Cancer, we are also to gird our loins and stoically prepare ourselves emotionally and psychologically for the year that is yet to come. Zigzag, shadow boxing, all the right moves. We are being given, the unseen is giving us the tools, the awareness to be, it's like a boxer, to be on your toes, to be nimble and flexible and adaptable and prepared over these next 6 months. This full moon is not only conjunct Mars, but also sextile Uranus and trine Neptune. Sextiles and trines are harmonious aspects in astrology. So, and Uranus is, the unexpected, and Neptune, illusion. So it is sextile Uranus and trine Neptune and the North Node. North Node is where humanity is going. Through Mars retrograde, protective and immersed in its own feelings, the full moon is trying to get us to look at the very heart of things, the things that matter most to us in the end. It's not about what's on the surface. It's what's in it, what's under it all, what's on offer. And this is in the face of any changes that have already occurred, are occurring in the light of the full moon, and are yet to come in the not so distant future. So things that have already come to light, things that are coming to light, and things that will come to light in the future. However, it may be that magical part that the moon is trying to show us, something subtle but meaningful. Birds. They represent spirit, the unseen. The only way you can discern what their message is, what they're saying to you is by listening to your soul source connection. Something that requires the element of faith. Playing the long game, the Empire Strikes Back. Hope, faith, trust, decency prevail. Against all odds, they prevail. But it's because you're willing to listen. And you're willing to listen and do so with faith. On the 12th of January, the true north node of the moon moves back into the sign of Pisces, and the south node will move back into Virgo, where they will both remain for the next 18 months. So remember, Pluto just shifted signs for the next 20 years into Aquarius, and we've covered that a lot. In 2025, the other 4 outer planets, all the major heavy hitters, are changing signs. In addition, the north and south node, where humanity is going and what we're meant to release, is changing signs. It'll be in Pisces and Virgo, respectively, for the next 18 months. It's a lot of all the majors. It's like the major arcana in the tarot. It's like, it's faded, and it represents major change. Upcoming, it's towards the end of this month in January, there's 7 planets and so forth that are going to be aligned. I mean, again, the unprecedentedness of the time. This doesn't happen every day. Yes, the inner planets change signs routinely. The outer planets and the synchronicity of them all changing within a span of 14 months-ish, plus the nodes, the nodes of the moon, plus the 7 planetary lineup. It speaks to there's birds flying high and I'm feeling good. Massive change. The old, we have covered this, the old is over. It's done. So Astrology by Lauren, she continues and says, and so we stand here at the beginning of a new year, betwixt and between the old and the new. Just because we're betwixt and between the old and the new does not mean that we need to go through life confused or playing checkers. We can stand on a firm foundation. We can listen to our soul source connection. We can go as guided. We can zig and zag as we're guided. And we can do so with great clarity. Because again, if we're spinning around on the outside, then we're playing checkers and we're fighting an illusion. But then we know when we don't do that, when we opt to listen to our soul source connection, we have great clarity, great foundation. There's no need to spin out of control, and we've got this. And it's number 2 from the unseen. It's the light prevails. And they said ... always prevails in all ways. So anything less than that, it's like, in other words, don't buy into the illusion of the moment, into the cheap checkers game that's being played. It's cheap. It will not last. It will not prevail. So be mindful of the choices that you're making and the alignments and the associations and the company you keep and all of these things, because it all matters. You don't want to be the one left holding the bag when you could be birds flying high and I'm feeling good when you could be feeling good. She concludes with Neptune conjunct the North Node, again, highest ideal and delusion. So with Neptune conjunct the North Node, it could feel as if we are being cast off in a boat without any navigational equipment to guide our way or means to steer our way forward. It may seem at times that we can see what we think is our destination, but as we get closer, we realize that it was only a mirage filled with false lights and promises, zigzags, shadow boxing. And not only do we lack navigational instruments, but because a heavy Neptunian fog has rolled in, we are unable to even rely on the stars, the sun, or the moon to know which direction we are headed. And because it is uncharted territory, and that was in a previous episode, uncharted territory, we don't even have a map to guide us. However, that would mean that we are relying on things that are external from us. It means that we're not listening to our soul source connection. We're looking for these ego, mind, personality, external signposts and signs. But here are the birds. So this Cancer moon, these next 6 months, the things that are going to be revealed, that are being revealed, have been revealed, and will be revealed, and the zigzagging and the shadow boxing and needing to have all the right moves. And this Neptunian fog. So again, it's the Two of Swords in the tarot. She's blindfolded. There's 2 swords that are crossed. The ocean is behind her, water, emotion, the ocean, and a crescent moon. She's blindfolded, so she cannot see external things. However, and the Two of Swords, she's at a crossroads. She has to make choices and decisions. Zig, zag. The moral of the Two of Swords in the tarot is listen to your inner wisdom, your soul source connection, your true north GPS. It will lead you. This is where we are. So in essence, and she concludes, what we do have is faith. Faith that when we trust our innermost senses, that when we allow things like conscience and compassion to lead the way, then we will be brought precisely to where we need to be. But we must trust and have faith that even though we may not be able to see our hand in front of our face, that there is some sort of higher power guiding the ship, guiding our ship, our vessel. And we are all being drawn along on the tide. It doesn't have to be banged up against the sea rocks and rolled up the, the shore and everything. We can be gracefully and graciously delivered. It's a choice. It's masterful. So let's just look very quickly. I want to talk about hexagram 15 and 16 because they are the pair that we're working with in this. So hexagram 15 is all about authenticity, humility. Its action is balance, to maintain that equilibrium. Its hidden influence, liberation. It's to liberate us. It's to deliver us. It's to untangle us. And its underlining cause is treading cautious advance. It means taking the right steps at the right time. 16 is about enthusiasm. Its action is excite. Its hidden influence is obstruction, innovate. So how do you go around? You don't have to put your shoulder to the boulder, to the obstruction. Stand back. You don't have to buy into the hysteria, the drama. That's an illusion. That's on the surface. You can stand back and look at any obstruction that may appear in your life and that we face as a whole and look at it and say, innovate. How do I work around this? How do I leap over it? How do I just completely take a different path that leads me completely away from this obstruction? Your soul source connection will guide you. It will tell you. The unseen, birds flying high, and I'm feeling good, they will tell you. Because see, we can leap over things. We can quantum leap. We just have to be willing to do so. And its underlining cause is literally 9. It's a 9-year, all year long, small restraint, surrender. So when we keep surrendering our way to the way, it means we're listening. The way is source. We're listening. And source will deliver us. So 2 quotes from 15 and 16. Our first quote is, when you know no boundaries, you will discover no limitations. And there's a beautiful rainbow. It's a wide open, this is a quote from Carrie Hone at cafeosoul.com, as is the hexagrams. So what you see is this path with just the openness and everything, kind of wheat fields and agricultural and mountains, but this beautiful rainbow. When you know no boundaries, you will discover no limitations. And the other quote is, chance is always powerful. Let your hook always be cast. In the pool where you least expect it, there will be a fish. And this is a quote by Ovid. The only adjustment I would make is, and there will be fish. Not a fish, fish, opportunities. And again, look at the innocence, the joy of the young boy, the young girls, this whole, and it's a stained glass window, but it's all of this joy about fishing, opportunities. So this powerful cast your hook. Let it always be cast. Because in the pool where you least expect it, there will be fish. There will be opportunity. I'm going to move quickly to our key word is inspiration. And inspiration, here we are. A feeling of enthusiasm. It's hexagram 16, enthusiasm. A feeling of enthusiasm you get from someone or something. An inspiring or animating action or influence. Arousal of the mind to special, unusual activity or creativity. The unseen, birds flying high. The quality or state of being inspired. So again, the unseen is speaking to us about inspiration and how it comes to us. It can be a flash, a knowing. It can be a chance call. The point is that your rod is cast. You're open to receive. It's abundant. We're being lifted to a higher octave. Birds. and thus, and I'm feeling good, which leads us to dragonfly medicine, pardon me. And this is by Jess Hagen at urbanhealersofla.com. The romance between wind and water catches fire in the beauty of Dragonfly. Wind over water. How we're going to literally transcend, transform ourselves. So the romance between wind and water catches fire in the beauty of Dragonfly, quickening our sense of the ever-shifting nature of reality. Neptune. All is seeming and all is change. So it means all is like appears to be static, firm, and yet ever shifting, ever changing. The journey of Dragonfly teaches how to navigate the dream stuff we call life. Her medicine is inherent in her name. Is she a dragon or is she a fly? She is the master of illusions and light. The dragonfly spirit animal totem is the medicine of projection and spectacle. She is the evening gown with glimmering beads. She is the ballerina on point. In the tarot, in the mystical tarot of mystical moments, remember it is the image, the world card advancing. She's on point. In her forward left arm is the new world. In her right arm, dans le poubelle in French, into the trash, the old world goes. But she's on point. So, and I'll post that image on the Dearjames Facebook page. So she is the ballerina on point. She is the brief crack of lightning in a coming storm. She will flash through your mind in a sudden knowing out of the seeming blue. She defies logic. She is the power to summon new energy into being. She is the thespian, conjuring magic into our imagination. When dragonfly medicine is out of balance, there can be an excess of illusion. So it's both light, clarity, light, inspiration, enthusiasm, new creation, or illusion, delusion. Neptunian energies. The dragonfly has the distinct honor of bearing compound eyes. She sees through the illusions of light and form into a dimension deeper than our daily reality. She dives below the surface. She doesn't have to worry about seeing below the surface. She's created to see everything as it truly is. So she has this ability to pierce and see dimensions deeper than our daily reality. Dragonfly's visual experience of the world differs tremendously from our own, from humans. Dragonfly can perceive around 300 individual static images per second, giving her an advantage in perceiving motion. If you took a dragonfly to the movies, she would see the film for what it truly is, a slideshow of photographs. This optical triumph is trumped by her astounding skills of flight. So adaptability, movement, but she can see truth, clarity, which is wisdom. Believed to be the very first flying life form on Earth, she is also the most advanced in aviation. She is a hovercraft with extraordinary precision and maneuverability. Her long, narrow body is carried by two sets of wings, both moving independently of each other, giving her the ability to stop in midair, travel backward and forward, and blaze through the sky at around 30 miles per hour. She can zigzag. She can shadow box. She has all the right moves. She is one of the oldest living beings on Earth with an ancestral record found in rocks dating 300 million years ago of giant descendants bearing wingspans 2.5 feet long, the first legendary dragon. So again, and it reminds me of like electronics, the first computer, the first television, the first cell phone. They're gigantic, they're huge. in 2025, decades and millennia later and so forth, we hold a smartphone, a computer in our hands. So, dragon to dragonfly. Dragonfly has downsized since prehistory, but her shape and form have become a mythic icon within the human psyche, calling forth the iridescence of magic and illusions. Iridescence is a color phenomenon which does not utilize the common materials known as pigments we find in rocks, plants, and our own skin. Iridescence is achieved by the architecture of dragonflies' wings and body, which bends and refracts light in such a way as to create seemingly otherworldly vibrancy. This is our rainbow light body. This is the transfiguration on the Mount of Transfiguration. That dragonfly's wings and body bends and refracts light in such a way as to create seemingly otherworldly vibrancy. This is who we are. All of creation has this ability. But again, that Saturnian limitation has been imposed upon us. However, the world before us, the one that came before us and the one that we are upon, the message from Master Jesus forward has been the restoration of this rainbow light body, of this iridescence, of this ability to pierce the illusions of and to see truth and reality as it truly is, to shed the density or the idiocy of our behavior or of the truths we buy into or believe. The dragonfly is a dance of light. This attribute beckons the ability to get others to see what you wish them to see. They are master illusionists and the life of the party. Their presence brings a phosphorescent color to any event. And remember, we've talked about going from, black and white to color to technicolor, where everything's shimmering. In animated movies, that indigo iridescent light that's just shimmering and everything's alive, and flowers and animals and books and everything's vibrating and resonating in this remarkable iridescence or phosphorant color, lifting it from the mundane into the remarkable. But the experience of magic and wonder by design is brief and intense. The dragonfly spirit animal totem knows that awe is not a long-term state in which to dwell. She also reminds us that those seeming bursts of sudden beauty, those overnight smash hit top of the charts successes, often cloak years of hard work behind their illusions. So again, it's not about, welcome Kiki, it's not about buying into the illusion of who you are or what you think you've done or the status that you believe you have or the entitlements. It's about staying grounded in the divine essence that is illuminating you, that is bringing these things to fruition for all of us, for each of us to experience, to be the custodian of. And thus, imagine when we stand in that, what they're showing me in the moment, the unseen, is when we stand in that moment of grace and humility and being, the natural iridescence and the magic and the awe and everything it's just ever present. It may flare, it may, light up, but then it still comes back to its natural glow. What diminishes or kills that, when we say kills your buzz or something, is when we think that we're the ones that have done it, or we try to genie in a bottle, capture it and hang on to it, or we try to take it from others, or we try to wield it as power over others. It only means that you're diminishing your own iridescence, this magic and awe and wonder of yourself, your dragonfly spirit medicine. So she reminds us that those seemingly bursts stand behind years of hard work. A good book lasts about a month. A good film lasts 2 hours. A good song lasts 10 minutes at best. But the time behind these experiences involves years of work and transformation from within the artist. We are not just this physical body. There is an oversoul. There are lifetimes that have gone into this playing the long game, creation, humanity. So remain in the moment, enjoy the moment, and then allow your soul to continue to unfold and flower and expand. Because again, otherwise, we meet moments of utter decay and entropy. And nobody wants that. It's stale. So we can be stale and decay and goo and guck, or we can be iridescent, phosphorescent, all of this just continually illuminated and glowing. Jess goes on to say, the lessons behind the magic of any spectacle are best illustrated in the stages of Dragonfly's life as she moves from water to air. The dragonfly spends most of her life in the developmental stage known as nymph form. Nymphs live in still waters for several years, embodying gills and living life as fish do. So we have that Ovid quote, keep your line cast. Then one fine day, this young nymph is suddenly gripped with an unstoppable conviction to climb out of the water, crack open her childhood form, and emerge from the husk of her old self into her adult being, Dragonfly. This process of metamorphosis is a profound metaphysical teaching for the human spirit. Cracking through and emerging from her own old body shell, Dragonfly lights the stage of the world for a few months before returning once more to Earth, the cycle of death and rebirth. But the moral here is it's this masterful game, and we have the opportunity to break through, to break free from our old selves, our old shells, our old way of being, this old era. It's within us. And what lies before us is magic. Awe, wonder, birds flying high, and I'm feeling good. This masterful game of chess where we are the custodians. This is true regardless, but we are the custodians of our life force, of our soul, of our vessel. Imagine who you are, who you could be, and the world before us, what it can be when we all transform from our nymph state to our dragonfly state. Her life is brief and spectacular, and with it she shows us that it is possible to completely transform a way of being using only the intelligence found within her. This speaks to our soul source connection, our soul, who we are at a source level. When the answers to your questions may seem outside of you in books and teachers, remember that the power to find those answers lies within you. It is your own conviction that truly teaches you. No one, quote, gives you the answers. You accept them when you are able to see them. To see them means inside. It's the Two of Swords. It's not see them externally, it's see them within. That is the learning process which allows all things to be your teacher. Dragonfly shows us how to undergo deep, profound change on a cellular level. This medicine of transformation is shared by all living creatures. Our own process of metamorphosis is observable in the awkward stages of puberty. Life is change. Change is inevitable and it is constant. To resist becoming what nature intends causes pain and dis-ease. We can't stop time. The arc of destiny moves forward. So this is all within us to receive this new world, this new way of being. So to resist becoming what nature intends causes pain and disease. Resisting the flow of change out of fear of danger ironically puts you into much greater danger than if you yielded to the truth of your being. When caught in the illusions of stasis, you are vulnerable to surprise attacks from the ever onrushing world around you. You're not on a firm foundation. You are not connected to your soul source connection. It means you are blown around by the wind. The dragonfly spirit animal totem knows from experience that change is growth, and growth on a cosmic level sometimes involves downsizing, emptying your vessel, downsizing to allow for balance. Let the old fall away and transmute into a new expression of self. Dragonfly asks you to break through the mental constraints keeping your colors dull. Crack open the old identity and become the next experience. This is where we find ourselves, and it's our mantra: love, power, self-discipline. With great power comes great responsibility. So our mantra is love, power, the willingness, the power, the empowerment, the willingness to change, to empty our vessel, to quantum leap forward, and self-discipline. Because remember, wonderful structured societies offer greatness. Less than that, anarchy, chaos, illusion, delusion. It's destructive. It collapses, and because it must. Because the master weaver, they're all that is playing the long game. The master weaver is playing chess, not checkers. And it brings me to conclude, because we are in a moment of major change. 555 denotes major change. It's associated with change, transformation, expansion, and growth. Major life chances. And neither positive or negative. They are divine and neutral. However, this moment in time is about, look at the planetary, all the outer planets changing, the nodes of the moon changing. 7 planets are going to be lining up. There are major changes upon us. And thus, against all odds, because this was number 5 from the unseen, and it's 555. This is all about, and we've had this image, a tower moment. And tower moments do not have to be quote unquote bad. But if you are cleaving to the past, if you are hanging on to an old you, an old era, an old job, an old relationship, an old way of being, then the tower moment is going to be rough. However, if you're embracing change and you're open to emptying your vessel and purifying your source, yourself, and you're listening, then the tower moments will be, there'll be butterflies and dragonflies and nervous energies and so forth, but there'll be this inspiration. There'll be this, you walk through fire, you get to the other side, and you look back and you say to yourself, what took me so long? Both exist. Both are a choice. Both are on offer. Do whatever you can to choose the proactive path, the proactive alignment. And number 4 from the unseen, it's the last thing, is they said time heals all wounds. And then I heard the song, the lyrics from MC Hammer, Can't Touch This. So it's number 4, it's foundational. Time heals all wounds. And there was an aspect about this that time is an illusion. It can be an illusion that, quote, time heals all wounds. Some would say yes, some would say no. But this MC Hammer, Can't Touch This, it means we're immortal. It means that we are beyond time. We are beyond this reality. And so when we live in the reality of source, of soul source connection, which to many may sound airy-fairy and an illusion and, bunk, and yet it's original intelligence. It's where everything comes from, emanates from. And when we align ego, mind, personality in service to the soul source connection, to your soul, greatness occurs. Massive transformation and transfiguration occurs. It's pinch yourself synchronicity and reality. So fly with this, because again, from last week's show, Ace of Pentacles, Ace of Wands, like the birds in the tarot, the aces, there is a hand emanating from the clouds. That is source, that is the unseen, the all that is. The pentacle represents something tangible, and the wand represents the creative force, inspiration. Harness these forces, these offerings, as you zigzag, as you shadow box, as you experience all the right moves. Because anything less than that is going to be a shadow tower moment. It is the cosmic 2x4, and you do not want that. You do not want the cosmic 2x4 coming out and just smacking you up the backside. It's not fun. You'll do it once and you'll probably never do it again. So with that, we conclude Birds Flying High and I'm Feeling Good, Dragonfly Medicine. Source is playing the long game. While the Empire strikes back, while they try to diminish the light, against all odds, hope, faith, trust, decency prevail. The light prevails. Always, in all ways. It's a masterful game of chess, the force, light, versus checkers, darkness, and idiocy. It's about major changes, tower moments, major changes, and the iridescence of your being. Realize how magnificent you are, not from an ego, mind, personality place, not from hubris, but from humility, and allow that life force to move you, to guide you, to magnify and amplify you. And the joy that you get from that experience, from that ever living body of water, air and water, air over water, taking flight. Until next week, be well, be kind, be gentle, and be inspired and inspire others. I love you all. Thank you so much for being on the journey, and we will see you next week.